On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast, it's that time of year. Time for my annual Tesla New Year's predictions. I've got over a dozen of them about what to expect from Tesla in 2025, as well as grading my predictions from last year. Plus, Tesla pivots from PPF to vinyl at its service centers, the Cybertruck gets one step closer to launching in China, and more. What's happening, friends? Welcome to Ride the Lightning. It is episode 491 of your weekly Tesla unofficial podcast, coming to you from San Francisco. Recording on December 26th, because I've got some travel coming up. I'm going to be down in Arizona visiting my family, my parents, later this week. So I wanted to get you the podcast done. I wanted to get it on time, get it done. So I'm recording on the 26th. This is publishing on the 29th. Happy holidays to all of you this week. And it is an especially awesome holiday here in the McCaffrey household, because to my left is she's introducing herself already. Oh my goodness. Zelina, quiet. Yes, I said Zelina. We have Zelina here with us for this week. She is, of course, a full-time, she's a graduate, she's a service dog, she's with her forever family now, and they are on an international trip this week. So they had reached out and said, we don't want to take her on the international travel. Would you guys watch her? And that was truly, and I'm not even making a joke or exaggerating or trying to just be polite. It is seriously, it's the best Christmas gift for us that we get to have her here this week. So Zelina, I can't even say future service dog. Zelina, the service dog, is here. She is behind me, and if that big bark comes up again during the recording, you'll know why, because she is barking for Daisy's attention. Right now, Daisy's on the couch, and Zelina is just desperate for somebody, preferably Daisy, to interact with her. Anyway, I know I've got a lot of Tesla to talk about. Not all of you want to hear about dog things, but that is a real treat for us this week. We are so happy to see her. It's Daisy's first time seeing her since February, because we turned Zelina in early February, and then she went into professional training and graduated, and so it's been like 10 months since Daisy's seen her. So super fun times here in the McCaffrey household for us. All right, just a fun, light, evergreen Patreon poll topic this week. So I'm just going to start there, and it was, what's your favorite paint color that Tesla currently offers in North America? So yes, I'm leaving Midnight Cherry Red out of this one, since a lot of you listening, myself included, don't have access to it, and we've never seen it in person. It is, from pictures and videos, a glorious color, but North American color palette. So there are a total of 7 choices, and I even included a stainless steel option for you Cybertruck folks as well. What's your favorite paint color that Tesla currently offers in North America? Not even close on the results. 45% of you chose Ultra Red. Ultra Red, and that's what I chose on my new Model 3 Performance, so I would have voted right there with you. Quicksilver at 22%. Deep Blue Metallic at 15% in third place, and then it trails off to single digits after that. So thank you very much to everybody that cruised on by during this holiday week to my Patreon page, found at patreon.com/Tesla podcast, and cast your vote in this week's Patreon poll. A reminder, a new poll goes up every week for every episode. It is totally free. You do not have to be supporting me on Patreon in order to vote. Speaking of Patreon, if you wanted to start the year by supporting me on Patreon, I would be very humbled and grateful if you would consider that. The support tier start at just $5 a month, and for that $5 a month, you get early access to each week's episode, and you get an ad-free episode as well. If you jump up to that most popular tier at $10 a month, That will get you the early access, the ad-free, and those weekly lightning round bonus mini episodes. There are 125 of them up there for you. So as 2025 is about to begin, if you've been listening for a while and you think, you know what, yes, I'm going to start the new year by supporting you on Patreon, Ryan. I appreciate everything you do. I would be very, very, very grateful if you do that. So you can head on over, find all the information, and you can do your pledge at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. All right, let's get right to it. Let's go through last year's Tesla predictions that I made 1 year ago, and then I'll bring you a whole bunch of new ones for this year. And by the way, it is any dog noises, it's Zelina. And if you're thinking, well, wait, should a service dog be making noise like that? And the answer is she is, as I told her new forever family, it's like she's at summer camp right now. She has been working hard every single day as a service dog for her new family since they got her in July. So she's been working real hard all year long since she graduated, and now she's not working. She is very much on vacation. She's at summer camp with Daisy, and my goodness, last dog thing. I wish you all could have seen the look on Daisy's face when Zelina got here. It was seriously, I know I'm projecting human emotion onto it, but Daisy just had this look of pure joy, like, my best friend is here, this is amazing, and I love it. So anyway, we're having a blast this week. All right, my predictions from last year, and I think the new ones, when I get to that in a minute here, I think it's my 10th annual Tesla New Year's predictions, because I think I started doing this right at the beginning, like right when I started the podcast back in 2015. The first podcast was, I think it published on August 2nd, 2015, and I believe I started the predictions that first holiday, which would make this my 10th annual Tesla New Year's predictions on this podcast. So let's get started by reviewing and grading my predictions from 1 year ago. I always like to hold myself accountable. I might have to let these two out. All right, you guys, go ahead. Go out. You guys go play out there. Daisy, go. Come on. Go ahead, pups. I've got a podcast to do here. All right, Zelina's very desperate for some action right now. Okay, let's do it. Anybody that's already tired of the dog stuff, that'll be the last of it. So, last year's predictions, I made 10 of them. The first one was, I said, I believe the upcoming Model Y revamp, Project Juniper, will utilize Tesla's new 48-volt architecture that they're trying very hard to drag the rest of the auto industry kicking and screaming into. Well, no Juniper yet, so we can't really score this one either way. I mean, I guess if you want to get picky, it would be a 0. It would be no point because there's no Juniper and thus no 48-volt architecture, but I'm going to just throw this one out. So no points, but no penalty either. Prediction 2 from last year, I said, I think it makes a ton of sense for Model S and Model X to get 48-volt architecture and steer-by-wire as well. This did not happen, clearly, so no points awarded on this one, and I'm not really off to a great start with these predictions from last year, am I? Okay, number 3 from last year. I said, I believe the first new Model 3 deliveries, the 3 Fresh, the Project Highland, will happen by the end of January. And I nailed that one. Yes, I am on the board with a point. This did happen. I went back and just double-checked to make sure, and sure enough, Tesla did sneak in the first deliveries of the new Model 3 here in North America right at the end of January. Alrighty, let's see if I can keep it going with last year's 4th prediction, which was my 0 to 60 and quarter mile time predictions for the new Model 3 Performance, which, as we know now, didn't end up rolling out until May after being officially revealed and put up to order on the design studio in late April. Last year, I said, quote, I think Tesla gets down to 2.9 seconds with the 1 foot rollout subtracted, which is how they measure it, and that's how the 3.1 seconds of my old Model 3 Performance is calculated. And I think the quarter mile time will see gains as well. Currently, it's an 11.8 second car. I don't think Highland Performance is suddenly going to be a 10-second car, but I do think low 11s is reasonable. And bam, another point for me. Yes, I nailed this one perfectly. Wow, I mean, even I'm surprised at myself with that one. The 0 to 60 time on the new Model 3 Performance, my new car, is indeed 2.9 seconds, and the quarter mile time is exactly 11 seconds flat. So 2 points. Love that. Prediction 5 from last year was this. I predict that the Foundation Series Cybertrucks will be the only ones made in the 2024 model year. Or another way to phrase that general production on Cybertruck would not begin until the 2025 model year. And well, I was really close on this one. As we covered back in October, when general production on the Cybertruck started, I missed it by about a month or so, give or take. So sadly, I cannot in good consciousness give myself the point here. There are 2024 Cybertrucks on the road that are non-Foundation Series general production trucks. So no point there, but you've got to give me at least like a nice little respectful tip of the cap for coming so close on what was, I think, a pretty bold prediction, I would say, if I may say so myself. Item 6, speaking of the Cybertruck, from last year, I said, I'll make a production and delivery prediction for the Cybertruck for 2024. And that prediction was 75,000 units. And well, we aren't actually going to have the production and delivery numbers for Q4 2024, and thus the entirety of 2024, until next week's podcast. But it doesn't quite look like I'm going to nail this one. I think it's going to be a little bit under 75,000. But again, I don't think it'll be too far off, and you might disagree, but as the sole judge, jury, and executioner, aka Judge Dredd, of this completely made-up game that I do every year about making Tesla predictions, I'm going to go ahead and give myself half a point for landing this Falcon 9 booster prediction pretty well on the landing pad at sea, just not quite in the dead center of the landing pad. So I'm going to give myself half a point because I think it is, we're going to find out next week, even though we won't get exact Cybertruck numbers because now they're just lumped in with S and X, but I think it's going to be pretty close to 75K, just maybe not quite that high for year one. Prediction 7 from last year. I said, even though I said I didn't want to be stuck with having to make a Tesla Semi prediction, I guess I was talking about that a year ago, I said I'm going to make one anyway. The Semi will go into full production no later than Q3 of 2024. Whoops, that's a big nope. I'm off by well over a year on this one because full volume production still hasn't happened. And it's in fact, I'm off by, a year and maybe even a half. Full volume production on Tesla Semis now slated for early 2026. No points awarded here, obviously. Prediction 8 from last year, I said, we're not going to see or hear anything meaningful about the new Roadster in 2024. Well, again, perhaps controversially, I'm going to give myself a half a point here. And the reason for that is we did get a big tweet from Elon back in February, I believe it was, that said that Tesla was dramatically increasing all of the design goals for the new Roadster and that we could expect a re-unveiling around the end of the year. Well, we're at the end of the year and we never got that re-reveal or any other meaningful details about Tesla's long-in-development supercar. So I'm just going to take half credit here since we didn't get completely shut out on Roadster information in 2024. Although we didn't hear much and we didn't see anything at all on this car. There was no car to see in 2024, sadly. Prediction 9 from last year, I said, I predict that Tesla will utilize Optimus prototype bots in at least one of its factories in a meaningful way in 2024. Well, they are using Optimus to sort batteries in its, I believe, the Fremont factory, because the Optimus team is here. they're in Palo Alto, and Fremont factory is just a stone's throw away across the bridge. So I wouldn't say that Optimus is being used in a meaningful way yet. So I'm going to go half a point because they are using it in the factory, just not in what I would classify as a meaningful way. And the final 2024 prediction from a year ago was about that Generation 3 car. I don't think we'll get a reveal of it in 2024. And well, even though you could say that the Cybercab is the Gen 3 car, that's not what this prediction was referring to. It was referring to what I am now calling the Model 2.5. So I am awarding myself a full point because we definitely did not get that reveal, because Tesla is taking my very obvious advice about that, which is not showing their hand early on the Model 2.5 line so as not to Osborne the Model 3 and Model Y, which arguably the Model 3 did Osborne the Model S sales a bit there. If you go back and look at Model S sales from 2017, it was a little rough compared to 2016 and 2015 for the Model S. All right, well, in total, out of a possible 9 points, because again, I'm going to strike that first prediction about the Juniper, since that car just hasn't been revealed or released yet. So out of a total of 9 points, I got 4.5 out of 9. Thus, I was exactly half right in 2024. And as I always say with this stuff, Tesla is a tough company to predict, which honestly makes it more fun to cover. It's one reason I love doing this podcast every week, because you can never quite fully expect Tesla's next move. They might surprise you. All right, with that, let's move on to my new predictions for 2025. As all of you know, especially if the longer you've been listening, I have studied this company as closely as anyone, I would say, if I may humbly say, for over a decade now. So while I can't promise that all 13 of the predictions I'm about to give you will come true, as we just found out, I'm usually about half right, these predictions are my most educated predictions based on that time that I've spent tracking this company for the last 9+ years via this podcast. Prediction number 1 for 2025. Cybertruck single motor will debut in Q1. So, it seems pretty clear that Cybertruck sales aren't quite as brisk as Tesla had hoped or expected. The reservation list is gone, 2 million plus people on that list, and the list is no more. Just a matter of a couple weeks into general production, the whole list was done. It was out. It was not needed anymore. So not that the Cybertruck's doing badly, I'm not saying that, but as I've talked about before on recent podcasts, the lack of that individual point of sale $7,500 federal tax credit availability, plus the double whammy of the price of the Cybertruck being so much higher than what Tesla had advertised back in 2019 when people put their reservations down for it, those two things have clearly put the Cybertruck in a place that buyers weren't expecting. And that place is the same price category as the Model S and Model X. In fact, the Cybertruck, as it currently stands, is priced almost identically to the Model X. It starts at $80,000, and the performance version, in this case the Cyber Beast, is $100,000. I mean, it very, very closely mirrors Model X pricing. And we know that price just cannot sustain the production levels that Tesla's aiming for too long. Tesla doesn't make that. They make like 40 or so thousand Model X's a year. So, and especially without the tax, even the Model X qualifies, the base Model X, the long range without any options, qualifies for the tax credit. So the X has that going for it for the time being. The Cybertruck doesn't even have that. So for me, something's got to give. And I think that Tesla will start by offering the single motor Cybertruck in Q1 of 2025, which was listed a year ago to be $61,000. As I've said before, I don't personally think that that's a good deal for what you're getting at that price, but That's fine. I'm not buying one. Other people will choose whether or not to do so, but there will be takers on it. There's no doubt about that. So I think Tesla will offer that single motor Cybertruck. They're not just going to quietly sweep it away forever like they kind of did with the Model Y standard range before eventually introducing a version of it. And they kind of did on the $35,000 Model 3 for a while. Then they eventually offered it, and then they kind of didn't because it was a... Anyway, I'm not gonna... You guys know the story of the Model 3 and the standard range, and you had to buy a standard range plus and then call Tesla to have its software downgraded, and they would refund you $2,000 to make it $35,000. Anyhow, with the single motor Cybertruck, I think Tesla will offer it, and I think they'll do it soon. That's why I'm predicting this is going to happen in Q1. And on top of that, when pricing for the Cybertruck first went up right at the launch on November 30th of 2023, the single motor did say it would be available in 2025. So this isn't too wild of a prediction. I mean, unless you do think that the single motor Cybertruck's never happening, which again, I don't think you'd be totally off base if you held that belief, if that's what you think. But clearly, I believe it will, and I think it's going to arrive pretty darn soon. Prediction 2 for 2025. While we're still on the subject of the Cybertruck, I'm going to double down here on Cybertruck predictions and say that I also think that the Cybertruck will get a price cut in Q1. I'm going to go ahead and get real specific here, even though it's probably going to cost me when I circle back on these predictions in a year from now. But I think it's going to coincide with the introduction of the single motor Cybertruck, both in Q1. So I think the single motor won't actually be $61,000, and I think that the dual motor and the Cyber Beast, or at the very least the dual motor, maybe not the Cyber Beast, but the dual motor for sure, I think will get a price cut in Q1 of 2025. And, you know, you might say, well, this one's bold, and I would agree with you. No, it's all in good fun, right? But maybe this is a bold prediction because I'm saying it's going to happen pretty darn soon. But again, with Cybertruck seemingly not quite moving as much volume from what I can anecdotally tell, and again, referring back to the 2 million strong reservation list that's no more. So with those things in mind, and the fact that Tesla has already achieved positive per vehicle margin on the Cybertruck, and they did it 3 months earlier than they'd forecasted, meaning every Cybertruck sold is profitable. So that means that we are rapidly approaching the point where Tesla is going to need to start doing what it always does with every car: move the price down in order to increase demand. They're just seemingly, per my prediction, maybe going to have to do it a bit sooner with the Cybertruck than with most of their other vehicles. But we've seen it over and over. The Model S, over the years, it has gone down in price, including after the refresh in 2021. It's come way down since 2021 in price. Model X, same thing. Model 3 has come way down. You guys have heard me make the sort of self-deprecating joke of sorts that no one's ever paid more for a Model 3 than I have with my first one. And yeah, the Model 3's come way down over time. The Model Y also has come down in price. The Cybertruck is going to go down in price. I just think it's going to happen pretty darn soon. At least not all at once. Obviously, it's going to be a gradual thing. But I think Q1, we are going to see the first Cybertruck price cut. Prediction 3. Let's talk Model Y now. I think Juniper, the refreshed Model Y, will launch in Q1. So sightings of the covered up Model Ys, meaning the Junipers that are running around with the big nose bra and rear bra covering thing on the front and back of the vehicle, those sightings are getting increasingly common. And that means Tesla's getting close. That's what history tells us. So however Tesla chooses to do this rollout, it's probably going to hurt at least a little bit in terms of production and thus revenue, because Model Y is, as we all know, the company's big moneymaker. So I think it makes sense to do the Juniper rollout globally. Just rip the Band-Aid off all at once which is not how they handled the Model 3, where it rolled out via Giga Shanghai. It rolled out in every other market outside of North America first, and then we had to wait about 3 months to get it here. I don't think that's going to happen with the Model Y. It's built in 4 factories. I think it's going to all happen at the same time. And I just think it makes sense to do it early in the year during what is historically, not just for Tesla, but also the greater automotive industry, the slowest quarter of the year, which is Q1. That's what Tesla did with the new Model 3 in North America this year, this in 2024. And I think they're just going to do it the same thing with the Model Y, but on a global scale rather than a staggered regional market rollout. So bring on the new Model Y. Bring it on. I can't wait to see it. And by the way, with this one, I'm not going to pin myself to a specific month on this prediction, since with the 3 Fresh start of deliveries prediction that I nailed last year, the thing I had going for me with that was that the new Model 3 had already launched overseas. That's not the case here. But just as a mini prediction within a prediction, I'll say that it's going to be February. February for first deliveries. I'm not sure what continent those first deliveries will occur on, but I'll just say that it's going to be in February. The launch will happen in Q1. First deliveries will happen somewhere in February. Prediction number 4. Carrying over a prediction from last year, I'm going to go ahead and borrow one, just since we had to throw it out, since there was just no activity on it at all to grade myself on. I'm going to carry over the Juniper will use 48-volt architecture prediction. Again, we've heard from Tesla how much wiring this saves, including copper, and the Model Y is currently the highest volume vehicle that Tesla has. It's also the best-selling car in the world. The Model 2.5 line should eclipse that, but for the time being, 1.2 million or so Model Ys are sold this year and probably in 2025 as well. So I just think it makes a ton of sense for those efficiencies, those material savings, the literal material savings, to be transferred over to the redesigned Model Y. Now, I say that knowing full well that the new Model 3 does not use the 48-volt architecture, and I think, as I said last year, that the reason for that was probably, if nothing else, that the timeline didn't match up. Highland had to get done when it was going to get done, which was prior to the 48-volt system rollout being ready to go for Cybertruck. Could have been a cost thing as well, that hopefully now the costs have come down as Tesla's been in production on Cybertruck with its 48-volt system for over a year now. So that's the prediction. I think the Juniper new Model Y will have 48-volt architecture. Prediction 5. Let's stay with the Juniper, and I'm going to say this. I think the new Model Y will have power share capability. I think I talked about this on the podcast fairly recently, but I wanted to solidify this, just codify this prediction here on the predictions episode. So Tesla has never said that power share would be exclusive to the Cybertruck. In fact, if you go on the Cybertruck website, on the Cybertruck page on the Tesla website today, it says that the Cybertruck and future vehicles will be able to do power share. So why not put power share on the company's biggest moneymaker, its best seller, use it as a massive competitive advantage in an increasingly busy crossover SUV marketplace, not to mention offer a massive safety benefit to customers in the sadly increasingly common event of a local power outage, as we see kind of around the country, at least here in the US. So that's the prediction, power share for the new Model Y. Prediction 6 is this. Well, I'm kind of doubling down again, but I'm gonna zero in a little bit more here. So, prediction 6, the Roadster re-reveal that Elon said would happen around the end of 2024, I don't think it's going to happen in 2025. Why do I say this? Well, besides the general pessimism that there just hasn't been any real publicly obvious progress on this car in not just last year, not just this past year, but there hasn't been any publicly obvious progress on Roadster in 7 years since they unveiled the prototype. There's also this. Again, I may be reaching here, but I think its absence was telling. So Tesla, about this past week or so, posted a video on its social channels, which they clearly had distributed internally first, because the video was there's no voiceover, so it would be pointless for me to play the audio for you. But it just had text on the screen, and it was B-roll of a bunch of great stuff happening at the various factories around the world. It was an employee recap video for the company for 2024, where they went over all their big accomplishments for the year, and at the end, there's a little text that flashes up on screen that says, "And we're just getting started." And then they show the Cybercab, and they show Optimus. What don't they show? I'll give you one guess. It's red, it's got 4 wheels, and it's got SpaceX thrusters on the back of it. And you guessed correctly, the new Roadster. So its absence was very telling in that video to me. I just don't think this car is on the front burner at all, which saddens me to no end, by the way. But I would love to be wrong about this prediction, but I just don't. I'm not expecting the re-reveal, even though Elon mentioned it back in February. Prediction 7. Let's get back to predicting things that will happen instead of things that won't happen. Model Y, excuse me, not Model Y. Oh my goodness. Model 2.5 will be the only vehicle reveal of the year. Now, this may seem like I'm basically doubling down on the prediction I just gave you about the lack of a Roadster re-reveal, but I just don't think there will be any other surprises outside of the Model 2.5, at least on the vehicle front. The 2.5 cars are going to be the focus for the company in 2025. That's it. I mean, this is their even higher volume product line than the Model Y. It's huge for the next big growth wave of the company, as they phrase it in shareholder letters. So again, I'd be thrilled for the company to prove me wrong on this, and for there to be more than just the Model 2.5 line reveal. But I think that is going to be the one and only vehicle unveiling of 2025. Okay, before I get to the second half of my predictions, I wanted to mention a couple friends of the podcast here. First up, don't forget about the Climate Exchange raffle coming up. Well, the early bird's coming up super soon. So, are you looking for some excitement in your life now that those holidays are coming to an end? What if I told you that you could ring in the new year with $10,000 cash? And that next month, meaning February, you could win the EV of your dreams. All of this is possible if you enter Climate Exchange's 9th EV raffle. Their grand prize winner can choose from over 60 EVs on the market, including, of course, any Tesla configured however you want. Yes, including a Cybertruck. So get that Cyber Beast. Even better, they also pay all of the fees and taxes on the car, meaning you get your dream car with zero out-of-pocket cost. I mean, hey, who needs sugar plum fairies when you can dream about how you would customize that brand new Tesla? Oh, and about that 10 grand. All tickets purchased before the end of 2024 will be entered into Climate Exchange's bonus early bird drawing for that $10,000 cash on January 3rd. That means that as of the release of this podcast, you have, well, 2 full days plus today, I guess, to the 29th as well. So you have until the end of the 31st to get those early bird tickets. Well, get your tickets, which will qualify you automatically for the early bird. All tickets are still eligible for the grand prize drawing on February 28th, and Even Better Climate Exchange is giving away 2 additional cash prizes, $12,500 for the second place winner and $7,500 for the third place winner during that February drawing. Proceeds benefit a small nonprofit that's doing really important work for our planet to help states pass climate policies. So no matter what, your ticket is supporting an important cause. Go to carbonraffle.org/RTL to get your tickets, or click on the link in the episode description. That's carbonraffle.org/RTL. And don't forget about my friends at XCare as well. I've got my new car, but that factory warranty will only last so long. Once it's up, I will be purchasing an XCare extended warranty plan for it, as I currently have on my old 2018 Model 3, the Spirit of Adventure. So get your XCare plan, get $100 off of it by using the promo code RTL. Excuse me, not RTL, my bad. The promo code is Lightning for that one. Lightning gets you $100 off your policy purchase. Whether you want to extend your warranty by a little bit, by 2 or 3 years, depending on how long you're planning on keeping your car, or if you plan on keeping it for quite a while, you can extend it up to 10 years and up to 125,000 miles extra on top of the factory warranty, if that's your choice. That's the nice thing. XCare offers you a ton of flexibility. So head on over to design your own custom policy, whatever will work best for you. Go to accelerateauto.com/xcare. That's XCELERATEAUTO.com/XCARE. Don't forget to use the discount code LIGHTNING for $100 off your purchase. You can also click the link in the episode description as well. Continuing with my 2025 Tesla predictions, speaking of the Model 2.5 vehicles, my next prediction is that I think production will start by June 30th, as Tesla has previously suggested. Now you might say, why would you be that optimistic, Ryan, when Tesla is pretty much always late with their vehicles? I mean, seems like they always are, but as we know, they always deliver in the end. But it's not actually true that they're not always late. When they have kept things simple, like with the Model 3 and the Model Y, rather than shooting for the moon in terms of engineering and or manufacturing, for instance, on S, X, and Cybertruck, they've actually been on time or even early. The Model 3, if you think way back, was actually early, and the Model Y was either on time or that one might have actually been early as well. Model Y production began in March of 2020. Plus, the other reason I'm making this prediction confidently is that Tesla has repeatedly told us in shareholder letters that they're trying to get this new vehicle line into production ASAP, using existing manufacturing techniques on existing manufacturing product lines, existing technologies. They're trying to get it out ASAP because it is the catalyst for their next growth wave, as they've put it. Now, pessimistically, you might say that, well, perhaps the Tesla stock's recent run up to and past its all-time high might take a bit of pressure off of Tesla in terms of getting that 2.5 vehicle line into production as soon as humanly possible. And you know what? You might be right. That could prove to be the case. But the federal tax credit for EVs is likely coming to an end, as that seems to be the way the political winds are blowing. And if indeed that happens, the Model 2.5 vehicles are going to be the best way for Tesla to combat the inevitable effects of what will be an effective $7,500 price increase on most of its cars for most of its customers. So anyway, I think Tesla will get the 2.5 cars out on time, meaning they're in production with, I'll even say this, first deliveries. Now, maybe it'll only be like a few people, like typically happens at Tesla's delivery events, but first deliveries by June 30th, 2025, meaning the very end of Q2. Prediction number 9. Here is my boldest prediction that I want to be super clear up front. I absolutely do not want this prediction to come true, but I'm going to make it anyway because I could absolutely see Tesla doing this. Here's the prediction. They are going to sunset the Model S and Model X to make way in the Fremont factory for a Model 2.5 production line. Okay, so why do I say this? Model S and Model X sales have unfortunately been trending in the wrong direction, and sadly that's not a new thing. They have been declining over time, not drastically, but they've been going down for a good bit now. Also, Elon has straight up said multiple times that they're really only making Model S and Model X for sentimental reasons at this point. That they, again, Elon's words here, that they do not materially impact the bottom line of the company. And so that means in 2025, in my opinion, S and X either needs some serious revamping. I'm talking about bold new styling, and I'm not saying that the S and X in their current forms are ugly at all. I actually think they're beautiful cars, especially the S, but they are old. Like, that's not debatable. Even though the new Model S and Model X are restyled a bit, they still have a very clear family resemblance to the original 2015 Model X and the original Model S from 2012. Like, you put them side by side and they're clearly the same car, that's just been evolved and refreshed over time. So they're not ugly, but they are old. And quite frankly, if we're being honest here, you could make the case that S and X need to catch up to the competition a little bit. The Lucid Air has been doing 520 miles of range for a while now. Now that car still isn't selling well despite that massive range number, and that's no doubt in large part because, in my opinion anyway, those 520 miles of range don't really mean a lot without the Tesla supercharger network to back it up, but that's about to change. And as far as the Model X goes, the Rivian R1S has been crushing it, getting rave reviews from media and customers alike. And the Lucid Gravity, which by the way has an EPA assigned estimated range of 440 miles, the Gravity just went into production. Both of those vehicles, R1S and Lucid Gravity, are getting NACS ports. So the competition is catching up and about to cut off one of Tesla's major competitive advantages in the form of the supercharger compatibility. The performance on S and X clearly is not the problem. Plaid is not lacking for anything. But it's the tech at in that segment, that upmarket, more luxury segment, that you could maybe make the case is lacking a little bit. And Zelina, they're back. I forgot how vocal she is when she wants Daisy's attention. All right, you guys, Zelina, quiet. I'm recording, pups. I'm thrilled to have you here. But this is not the time, puppy. You've got to be quiet. All right. She's going to start right back up, and I'm going to have to kick them out again. But getting back to my point, the tech and it's the creature comforts that I think S and X need a bit more of. I'm talking massaging seats, the interior accent lighting that the rest of the Tesla fleet has that S and X don't, and other features like, upping the range would be a big one. Anybody remember back to Battery Day in 2020 when Tesla announced the Plaid Plus that was going to have 520 miles of range in addition to the Plaid Performance? That car got quickly and pretty swiftly, reasonably, or maybe not reasonably, but it got canceled. They never built it. Well, maybe it's time to build that car. maybe now is the time to build that car. But, you could throw in 48-volt architecture, steer-by-wire, which I talked about earlier, which would make S and X drive way differently. If you've driven Cybertruck, you know what I'm talking about. And I would argue that steer-by-wire would make S and X drive, or any car that gets steer-by-wire, make it drive better than the other Teslas, as well as better than the competition. But short of those kinds of fairly radical changes, I would be shocked, but I would not be surprised, if that makes sense, if Tesla killed the S and X and allocated the S and X production line in Fremont, which I presume is GA1, to make 250,000 Model 2.5s a year on that production line instead of about 80,000 S's and X's combined a year. We'll see. Again, this is the prediction out of all of them that I really, really, really want to be wrong on. Prediction 10. Even if the tax credit goes away, I predict that the Model 3 will not get a standard range LFP battery pack back. And the reason I say that is because the Model 2.5 cars should fill that void. So I suppose this prediction is really quite simply that the LFP battery pack Model 3 is not coming back, even if the tax credit goes away, even if the LFP base Model 3 was $5,000 cheaper than the current base Model 3, which is, of course, now the long-range rear-wheel drive. I think that by the time the tax credit might get politically erased, the Model 2.5 cars will either be in production or about to go into production. Okay, we're in the home stretch here. I've got 3 more predictions. Prediction 11. Tesla will break its all-time sales record for each quarter in each quarter this year. Now, this prediction could get blown up by the Juniper rollout, depending on how it goes. We saw Model 3 sales dip a little bit last year after it launched in the US, while Fremont got ramped back up, right? It's just how it goes. Now, to be clear, my prediction here isn't that Tesla will set an all-time record for production or deliveries every quarter. In other words, I'm not saying that they're going to top Q4, which is, as we'll find out next week, probably going to be their all-time record quarter. I'm not saying that they're going to top that in Q1. But what I'm saying is that I think they're going to have their best Q1 ever in Q1 2025, and then their best Q2 ever, and then their best Q3 ever, and then their best Q4 ever. Now, why do I say that, besides you might just accuse me of blind fanboy optimism? Well, for one, the 3 Fresh is at full speed of production now. Cybertruck is going to continue to ramp up. And as I just got done talking about, the Model 2.5 cars will be coming online around mid-year as well. So that's why I think Tesla will set records for each quarter all year long. I suppose I could end up being half right on this in Q3 and Q4 when Cybertruck is almost fully ramped and the 2.5 cars are in production. If this prediction is going to fail, it's probably going to be in Q1 and or Q2. But I'm going to put it out there. I think it's going to be a record quarter for each quarter all year long. Prediction 12. I know I'm kind of repeating this one from last year, but I'm just going to tell you, I promise you that I actually wrote this one before I had looked back at last year's predictions. I wrote all of the new predictions first, and then I went back and looked at last year. So, Optimus. I believe in 2025, Optimus will get deployed in meaningful numbers. So I'm kind of tweaking it here. Not just doing meaningful things, which I'll get to in a second, but starting with meaningful numbers, meaning not just 1 or 2 Optimi. What is the plural of Optimus? Is it Optimuses or is it Optimi? I guess we're going to have to decide that together. But I think it's going to be used in one or more Tesla factories in meaningful numbers and assisting in factory operations and or vehicle assembly, or as I had phrased it on last year's prediction, making meaningful contributions. In other words, not just taking battery cells from one table and then putting them in a box. Or I should say it was not a table, but taking them off the assembly line and putting them in boxes. That I would not call that meaningful, but I think so. They're not only going to do meaningful things in the factory, but that there will be a meaningful number of Optimi in the factories, in one or more factories in 2025. Okay, one last prediction to make this a lucky 13 predictions for 2025. I predict that Tesla will introduce a new paint color this year. I'm going to keep the prediction general and just say color. I'm not going to get specific, but for what it's worth, I'll go ahead and tell you what color I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a new blue. So the current blue, deep blue metallic, is going to be 10 years old in 2025. Tesla introduced it back in 2015, and it replaced the original blue metallic, which, as you've heard me talk about before, especially if you listen to my lightning rounds about ranking every Tesla paint color ever. The original blue, called blue metallic, was so dark, it was such a dark blue that it genuinely looked black in all but direct sunlight. That was replaced in 2015, so after about 3 years, with deep blue metallic, which is that's what you have on your car now. If you have a blue Tesla, there is a probably 95% chance or higher that it's deep blue metallic. And the other 5% are old Model S's, which are great because, like my cousin Pat, he loved that original blue. He loved it so much. So I think we're going to get a new blue in 2025. Tesla has refreshed their gray. They've refreshed their red. And their red was sort of their signature color, right? But they came out with a new red. So I think it's time for blue to get refreshed. And if you'll remember, that abyss blue color that was found in the mobile app, the Tesla app code several years ago. We thought that was going to be a Giga Berlin advanced paint shop color. Well, it never materialized, or at least it hasn't yet. So Tesla, another reason that I'm going to say new paint color, whether it's blue or not, but Tesla's got really what should be 2 new cars coming this year. The Model 2.5 cars, meaning what I think will be the compact sedan and a compact crossover SUV. And they've got a new Model Y coming in 2025 as well. So to me, it just makes sense to offer a new color this year to help those cars feel extra new and just freshen up the rest of the cars as well. Plus the fact that it's been 10 years. We're hitting the 10-year mark on the current blue. It's time to change it out. Time to get a new blue in there. Well, there you go. My Tesla predictions for 2025. As always, I will hold myself accountable. And at the end of 2025, when I make my 2026 predictions, I will go back and score these, see how many of the 13 that I got right. And feel free to call in, write in if you've got your own Tesla predictions. Maybe I'll play a couple of them on next week's podcast if any of you out there want to get in on the prediction game with Tesla. All right, I still have 2 or 3 more news stories for you that I want to get to. First up is this. Tesla is pivoting from offering a whole bunch of different paint protection film wraps on cars at the service centers to now offering lots of vinyl wraps instead. So these new vinyl wraps are available on the 3, the Y, and the Cybertruck. If you'd like to get your 3 or Y wrapped, it will cost you $4,000. That's just bottom line price. That includes installation at the service center. $4,500 for Cybertruck. Here's the product description from the online Tesla shop. They say, customize your Tesla with a vinyl wrap. Available in a variety of colors, textures, and patterns, these wraps are made from polyvinyl chloride, making them extra durable, versatile, and removable. Choose between matte, satin, and gloss finishes. Hand wash only. After you purchase, you'll be prompted to schedule a service appointment in your Tesla app for an in-person consultation with a Tesla advisor to select your vinyl color and texture. After your consultation, you'll schedule a follow-up appointment to have your wrap installed. Installation typically takes a few days. If available, you will be provided with a loaner vehicle while you wait to pick up your vehicle. Some notes I wanted to add for you here in case you're interested in this. Some notes from their frequently asked questions page on this. As to which colors are available, Tesla says, quote, available options will be discussed during the initial service visit. Okay. They add that if you're leasing your car, yes, you can wrap it. You can get this. Finally, to answer the frequently asked question of what condition your car needs to be in order to get a wrap, Tesla says, quote, your vehicle must be a Model 3 or Model Y vehicle produced in 2023 or later, or a Cybertruck vehicle. In general, your vehicle must be free from any dents, nicks, and scratches. Any irregularities will telegraph to the vinyl wrap and accentuate the irregularity. Tesla will perform a pre-installation inspection of your vehicle's paint and may direct you to have paint correction completed before we are able to accept the vehicle for the installation of this product. Well, I wonder why they're only offering it on 2023s or newer. Because there are 2 styles of Model 3 covered by that time window, and there are about to be 2 Model Y styles covered by that window. Why not go back any further? That's the one thing about this I don't love. Like, why only pretty new 3s and Ys? And another, by the way, is something that I'll tell you should be in that FAQ, and that is that vinyl wraps, if you're interested in this, just know this. Vinyl wraps typically only last 3 to 5 years before they need to come off the car. Whereas PPF wraps, paint protection film, because it's a totally different material, last 8 to 10 years. So the reason I bring that up is not only just so you know, but because I don't want you to buy this thinking that it'll last forever. But then the other part of this is the pricing. So basically, Tesla is charging 2/3 of the price of the PPF wraps that they were offering for something that really only lasts about half as long. So as a value proposition, I got to be honest, I don't love this. For me, a professional detailer should be able to do as good a job or better than Tesla service will do with this specific thing, a wrap, for less money. Like a professional detailer is what I would recommend. That's nothing against Tesla, but I think you'll get as good a work or better for the same money or less from a professional detailer. Now that said, I'm not down on this. I want to be clear, I'm not down on this. As I've always said, I love that Tesla is offering the customer more options. That's always a good thing. I just wanted to call out a couple parts of this that I think could use some massaging in terms of Tesla's words on their website and just giving people information that I think is pretty essential here, meaning the duration of expected life on a vinyl wrap. And so, yeah, those are my 2 cents there. If you're interested in this, there's, I guess, just bad news. It's not really good news. It's only good news if you live near one of these places, but this is only in a pilot program for right now. So for the moment, it's only available at a handful of service centers. Those service centers are Costa Mesa, California, Oceanside, California, Santa Clara, California, West Covina, California, and Seattle, Washington. So no love for the Midwest, the mountain region, or the East Coast, or the Southeast. It's all West Coast on this, at least for the pilot program. So there you go. That's the info there. 2 more stories. Next one is that Colorado, speaking of mountain states, Colorado has become the #1 state in the United States for EV sales, beating out California. I saw this story on Teslarati, who writes, the Centennial State now has the highest EV market share compared to any state in the U.S., according to a report from the Northeast States for Coordinated Air Use Management, which, as they note, gives you the kind of gibberish acronym of NESCOM. Anyway, quote, Coloradans are purchasing electric vehicles at a higher rate than any other state because they are affordable, quiet, and a great ride. EVs are helping us reach our bold climate goals and protect our clean air. This new data shows that demand for EVs continues to increase, especially with competitive state and federal rebates, drastically cutting the cost of an EV and saving people money, said Colorado Governor Jared Polis. NESCOM's recently released data revealed that Colorado surpassed California in EV sales in the third quarter. EVs made up 25.3% of new vehicle sales in Colorado in Q3 2024. Battery electric vehicles account for 82% of EVs sold in the Centennial State, while plug-in EVs made up 18% of EV sales. As of this writing, all tax-paying residents of Colorado are eligible for $5,000 in state credits for purchasing or leasing a new battery electric vehicle or plug-in hybrid EV with an MSRP under $80,000. Customers may receive up to $7,500 in state credits for BEVs and plug-in EVs with an MSRP under $35,000. The state's $5,000 tax credit is available until, well, right about now, the end of 2024, and will be reduced to $3,500 at the beginning of 2025. Colorado also offers tax credits of $6,000 for customers seeking to exchange old vehicles for BEVs or plug-in EVs. Well, gosh, as unfortunately, again, on the national level, the tax credit seems like it might be going away. This story would seem to suggest that it's almost as if the incentives work. He says with a little drip of sarcasm there, these incentives sure seem to be working in Colorado. I would just really love to see Elon fight for them in his new influential role in/adjacent to government. I'd like to see him fight for the tax credit to stick around for not just Tesla, but all EVs. It is clearly good for the EV movement. I mean, I want to be clear, I intend zero disrespect to Colorado here, but surpassing, I don't want to make it about California. I want to highlight the achievement of Colorado. Surpassing California is no small feat in EV sales. I mean, it's just because California is huge and has historically bought a lot more EVs on a market share basis. Obviously, the volume, the sheer just numbers are bigger because the population is so much bigger. But this is just a really, really impressive feat by Colorado that they have surpassed EV market share compared to California. California has had that death grip on that #1 spot atop this leaderboard since forever. So it is really telling to me that Colorado residents have responded so positively to their state's, quite frankly, awesomely aggressive EV incentives. This is exactly what these EV incentives were designed to do, and they're working. So I hope a lot of you out there in Colorado have been able to take advantage of these offers, particularly since they are sadly stepping down a bit. They are decreasing for 2025. And finally this week, the Tesla Cybertruck gets one step closer to launching in China. There's no guarantees here, but let me tell you about this. I saw this story on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, The Tesla Cybertruck may soon make its way to the Chinese market despite recent denials from Tesla China. The company has completed a significant regulatory filing, receiving an automobile energy consumption label from China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. While this does not confirm an imminent launch, the approval has reignited speculation about Tesla's plans for the electric pickup in one of the world's largest EV markets. As Drive Tesla Canada previously reported, Tesla China denied any immediate plans to introduce the Cybertruck to the region. Furthermore, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has previously expressed skepticism about the feasibility of making Cybertruck road legal in China, citing the challenges of compliance with local regulations. Despite these statements, the approval suggests that Tesla is at least exploring the possibility. The energy consumption label, posted on the MIIT website, provides some interesting details about the Cybertruck's specifications in China. The vehicle boasts a range of 384 miles or 618 kilometers. Of course, that's not by the EPA standard, so I'm quite positive that the battery pack is still very much the same size, and the range is still very much the same as the Cybertruck that's out in the US now. Perhaps most importantly, Drive Tesla Canada continues, the Cybertruck is classified as an M1 passenger vehicle rather than a traditional truck. This classification could get Tesla around restrictive regulations that typically apply to light trucks in China, such as being subject to annual inspections, mandatory scrapping after 15 years, and having restricted access to many urban areas, all of which limit their broader appeal. Despite the approval, launching the Cybertruck in China is far from straightforward. The vehicle must still meet stringent requirements for pedestrian safety and other local standards. Furthermore, Tesla might consider developing a modified version of the Cybertruck tailored to international markets, though there has obviously been no official confirmation on that front. So I want to give a little tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada right there for doing actual reporting in the sense of providing that really meaningful context about how the classification of the Cybertruck in China matters and what that means versus if it had been classified as a traditional truck. So good job on that story, Drive Tesla Canada. Now, maybe I'll get burned by going too far out on this limb, but I'm going to do it and just say this. Cybertruck, and this is not one of my predictions, by the way, but I think the Cybertruck is absolutely going to get sold in global markets. It's not an if, it's a when. I just don't think that Tesla would go to all the regulatory trouble of getting an approval like this if they did not intend to sell the vehicle in China. And as I have previously talked about on the podcast, they've already gone through this regulatory approval process in South Korea as well. So they are dipping their toe in the water. I don't even know if you could say that. It might be more like they are wading into the pool, the international pool at this point. I mean, it certainly makes sense. Even if it does create homologation bottlenecks for Tesla during production, because, to be Captain Obvious for a second, the global market is obviously a far bigger market than just North America is. And there are so many people outside of North America who are super excited about this truck and would love to buy it. Shout out to my Australian listeners specifically who are at the front of that line. You guys are really wanting the Cybertruck. Also, you could say that the answer to this is just for brand awareness, but why would Tesla take the Cybertruck on tour globally if they did not intend to eventually sell it globally, right? You could say, well, yeah, okay, they know the Cybertruck gets noticed, so it's basically their form of advertising the other 4 cars that are for sale in many other markets. S and X, sadly, are not available in right-hand drive markets anymore, unless you just buy a left-hand drive one. But it just seems like where there's smoke, there's fire here. that Tesla is gearing up to sell the Cybertruck on a global scale rather than just a North American one. And certainly it does benefit Tesla to go through the hassles of manufacturing and homologation and shipping it to global markets if it means that they can sell their intended 250,000 Cybertrucks per year globally rather than, say, half of that if they limit themselves to North America. So stay tuned on this one. I think something is likely to happen sooner rather than later on this.
Hi, this is Franz von Holzhausen, and you're listening to Ride the Lightning with Ryan McCaffrey, the Tesla unofficial podcast.
All right, well, the podcast is already running a bit longer than usual at this point, so I will just get to a couple of your Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls, but I do welcome and invite you to call in and potentially be featured on an upcoming episode. If you've got a Tesla question, comment, or discussion topic, you can just dial me up. There are two easy ways to do that. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question. Please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many people each week as possible. And then email that file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and call in and leave a message anytime on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number, and that number is 1-888-989-8752. Again, that's 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Gary in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Hello, this is Gary in Rapid City, South Dakota. Longtime listener of the show, first-time caller. Congratulations on that wonderful new Tesla Model 3 performance. We're enjoying hearing about it. It's exciting and fun. But my question is, what's your plan for your previous Tesla? Are you selling it, keeping it in the family, donating it? What's the plan? I don't think I've heard you mention that on the show. Maybe you did and I missed it. Anyway, maybe you can fill us in on what you're doing there with your spirit of adventure. Anyway, congratulations on the new vehicle. I know you're going to enjoy it, and I know you're going to be sharing it with us on the program for years to come. Have a great, great, great Christmas and Happy New Year. Gary out from Rapid City, South Dakota.
Hi, Gary. Thank you for the call and for the kind words. Side note, you might be my first ever caller from South Dakota. I mean, I know there are listeners in South Dakota, but I think you might be the first one to have actually called in. So thank you for that. To answer your question, there is a bit of a funny story here that I will make quick because I honestly can't remember if I've said this on the podcast or not. So the plan was to trade in my wife's 20-year-old Mini Cooper for literally any amount of money that we could get for it as part of the purchase of my new Model 3 Performance. Tesla offered, not unexpectedly, even less than the low end of the Kelley Blue Book trade-in estimate range for her car. But her car is so old that it is just unfortunately seriously barely worth anything at this point. So I was just going to take that trade-in offer rather than go through the effort of price shopping it. And yeah, I could get a bit more money, but it wouldn't really be a lot more money for what it's worth. So I just decided, you know what? It's not worth that time and energy. I'll just take whatever Tesla offers and be okay with it. So then what happens is we couldn't find the title when I went to submit a picture of the title as one of my pre-delivery checklist tasks in my Tesla app. Now, I want to be clear here. I do not blame my wife at all in any way because it's a 20-year-old car. She's moved a couple of times in that span. So it happens, right? So we had to just buy the new Model 3 without the trade-in. And then, much to our pleasant surprise, the replacement title that we applied for by mailing in a form to the California DMV arrived this week, just 1 week after I took delivery of the Soul of Adventure. So as soon as I get the new car back from Immaculate Reflections, I will go get a few quick quotes, probably just go to the three big ones, Carvana, Auto Trader, CarMax, and then just sell it to whoever offers the most of those three. I'm not looking to eke every last dollar out of this, since again, the car's just not worth that much. It is, and when I say it not worth much, it is a three-figure amount of money, not four, and certainly not five. It's not worth much. And then once that's done, my wife will get the Spirit of Adventure as her car, and I will be very, very fortunate enough to have the new one. Gary, Happy New Year. Thank you for your call. And then the other call I'm just going to do one more call this week. It comes from Dave in Florida, responding to my comment from last week's podcast, questioning whether or not the gold-painted tires on the Cybercab might make it into production. I was doubtful. Here's Dave to comment on that.
Hi, Ryan. This is Dave from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Responding to your comment about gold tires on the Cybercab, I remember my dad, who was a mechanic and a car nut, talking about white sidewall tires. They were very popular in the 20s and 30s, especially on the fancy, larger cars like the Cadillacs and Lincolns. And I think these continued on for quite a while. I remember as a young boy helping him out at the shop and putting tires on rims, and it was like, do you want green side up or green side down? Well, it was green because that was a covering that was over top of the white sidewall, which at that point was a strip of about 1 inch. Anyway, so I happened to look on the internet and I saw that you can still buy white sidewall tires, the full width ones, and that would seem to be, and is obviously manufactured that way. So presumably the Cybercab could have the manufacturer create gold sidewall tires. Perfectly reasonable, and something that would not seem to be a very expensive option. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for all you do. Take care.
Hey, Dave. Yes, you're absolutely right. I have to admit, I have not thought about white sidewall tires in a long time. When I do, it always conjures up memories of 1950s or earlier cars, maybe 60s at the latest. But yeah, no doubt the prototype fleet of Cybercabs have the tires hand-painted. But yeah, perhaps whoever Tesla ends up making a deal with to provide the production tires on the Cybercab will just paint them as white sidewall tires used to get done at the factory, at the tire manufacturer. Because whoever Tesla partners with, it is likely to be a custom Tesla variant of that tire anyway, because they're going to have the noise insulating acoustic foam in the tires. They're almost certainly going to be low rolling resistance tires. Like, the whole point of this car is absolute maximum efficiency, and you bet your bottom dollar that that's going to extend to the tires as well. I mean, that's not even a bold prediction, because Tesla's moving towards custom tires on its cars now. Tires that optimize comfort, noise, or lack thereof, and efficiency. I mean, the Cybertruck has two sets of custom tires. The all-seasons and the all-terrains are both custom variants. My new Model 3 Performance has custom Pirellis on it. I believe the 18-inch tires on the new Model 3 are custom as well. And I'm not quite sure about the Model Y, the S, or the X, but you get my point. Tesla is clearly heading in this direction with tires, and they've probably got all of the major tire manufacturers lined up around the block to work with them, that are willing to work with Tesla, and they want to get those big contracts, right? So, Dave, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you to everybody that has kindly taken the time recently to call into the podcast. I promise I will get to more than 2 of your phone calls on next week's podcast. So the phone lines are open. Keep your calls coming, and I will circle back on those next week. All right. The Soul of Adventure segment, yes, renamed. Now that I've renamed my new car, settled on this as the final name. The Soul of Adventure, what is going on with that? Well, it is at Immaculate Reflections right now. The paint correction is almost done. In fact, I think it's literally happening as I type this, or as I record this, because I keep getting notifications on my phone that are like, multiple doors are open. So I think they are working on various bits of it over there. I actually stopped by Immaculate Reflections a few days ago, I guess now. And so I had to drop off a hood badge. Turns out the 2024, the new Model 3s, have a different T logo badge on the hood, the frunk, than the old Model 3s do. The old ones, it was a chrome badge, and the new one has a bit of a satin finish to it. So it's a different part number, as I learned when I picked up the part from Tesla, and it is a different badge. So anyway, I dropped that off, and while I was there, I not only got to see the car for myself, but I got to just catch up with Jeff a little bit, Jeff McGovern, the owner there, who's just such, I always rave about him at the end of every podcast, and I can't wait to see this car when he's done with it. And when I was there, seeing it with my own eyes, even though he wasn't done paint correcting it, he looked over the car, and I got the good news that I was hoping for, which was that the paint finish looked pretty good from the factory, meaning there weren't any flaws that he couldn't fix through paint correction. There are flaws in the clear coat, and he made it clear that, as most of you probably know anyway, every car from every manufacturer has flaws. No car, not even according to Jeff, I won't name any names, but even brands that you might think would have to be perfect for their prices. Jeff told me a couple stories of some war stories of cars he's seen where despite 6 or even 7-figure price tags, cars do not come out of the factory with perfect finishes. So that's where professional detailing comes in. But he said my car looked good. The paint finish, my Ultra Red, looks good. So he's working on correcting it and perfecting it now, which is a big improvement over the Spirit of Adventure, my 2018 Model 3 Performance, which he did an amazing job on, and the car looks great, but it does have some unfixable paint flaws in the finish. If you were to look closely at that car, if you were ever with me at an event or something, I would have the new one. But if you ever saw the Spirit of Adventure, if you looked really closely, you would be able to find a few paint flaws that just were too flawed to fix. But anyway, the Spirit of Adventure is still being driven by me for a little bit longer until the Soul of Adventure is ready, and then I'm very, very excited for that. In fact, today, I'm recording on Thursday afternoon here on the holiday week schedule. I just got the notification for my first software update on the Soul of Adventure, which, fingers crossed, should hopefully be version 13.2 that's been going out wide to the AI4 fleet. So Jeff's just going to connect the car to Wi-Fi so that it can start downloading, and then I'll be able to see the release notes from my Tesla app, and then I'll know for sure. All right. Actually, no, here's the release notes right here. Yep, 13.2.2. So that is indeed what's going to download to the new car, which means when I go to pick it up, I'll be able to finally test out FSD 13 that I've been hearing such great things about. Hey, how about an entertainment recommendation real quick? It is a holiday week. You might want something new to watch or play if you're a video gamer. I'm going to give you a watch recommendation, something to watch. And I will preface this by saying I have not watched this yet myself, but I'm very excited to, and it is Squid Game on Netflix. Season 2 went up today as I record this, on the 26th, the day after Christmas. Season 2 is up now. If it's anything like Season 1, it is probably not appropriate for your young ones in the house. I'm not your kids' parents. You are, so you'll make that determination. But it is rated mature for mature audiences, and The first one, certainly, I would agree with that. It got that rating for a good reason. But I really enjoyed the first season of that show. It was pretty wild, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can recapture the magic for season 2. All right, Tesla Pro Tip of the Week. Here's Glenn from Richfield, Washington, with a holiday-themed pro tip.
Hi, Ryan. This is Glenn from Ridgefield, Washington, just north of Portland, Oregon. I have what I think might be a pro tip that I came across by accident. Enabling Santa mode starts playing Run Run Rudolph very loud for my tastes. Well, if you just flip the directionals after starting up Santa mode, it quits playing the intro, but still enables Santa mode. Sorry this is a little bit late for the season.
Hey Glenn, thank you very much. I am happy to squeeze this pro tip right in here at the end of the year before maybe folks take their trees and lights down and maybe still want to try this out in their cars. Happy New Year. Thank you for calling in. And by the way, I'm getting pretty low on my pro tip stash. I play one a week every show. I've been able to do that for years now. So if you've got a Tesla pro tip of the week that you'd like to share with me, I would love to share it with everyone. So please call in the same way that you send in the regular Ride the Lightning hotline calls, which I gave you the instructions for a little earlier. And I would love to top up that pro tip of the week supply a little bit in case of a rainy day. Let me mention a few friends of Ride the Lightning, and hopefully they can be friends to you if you need them before I go. First up is abstractocean.com. They've got a million great Tesla aftermarket accessories, from lighting kits to the screen protectors, which are a big seller for them, to rear cup holder or rear footwell lighting kits and drop-in cup holder stabilizers. Gosh, they've just got so much stuff. You got to go take a look. abstractocean.com. And then, to make things easier, click on whichever Tesla you have, and it'll show you all the accessories available for your car. There is a coupon code to get 15% off of your first order, and that coupon code is RTL Podcast. All one word, no spaces. RTL Podcast for 15% off of your first order at abstractocean.com. Next, the Snap Plate and the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus, available for 3Y, XS, and Cybertruck. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. Grab a discount on it by using the coupon code RTL. And if you're wondering, well, what's the Snap Plate and Snap Plate Plus? This is the front license plate bracket that I recommend instead of using what Tesla gives you. The Snap Plate is minimalist, and it's paint safe, grill safe, radiator safe, autopilot safe. It won't interfere with anything. It'll go on and off in seconds, and when it's on securely. But if you want to take it off, it won't leave any unsightly hardware or anything else behind, because it's just been designed with that in mind. Take it off for car shows, cars and coffee. If you're detailing your car, put it back on. If you're going to be at a parking meter or heading through a toll road or bridge or something like that. Either way, however you want to do it, it is really designed to be safety optimized with breakaway features in case of a worst case scenario like a parking accident or a car wash. Or if you go with the Snap Plate Plus, that one is strength optimized with hardened features for maximum strength. So check them out, everyamp.com/RTL, for a discount on either of those products. Use the coupon code RTL. Immaculate Reflections, I mentioned them earlier. They are hard at work. Jeff is hard at work on my car right now, and literally right now, since I'm recording in the middle of the day for once. And he can make your car look amazing too. If you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, reach out through the website, which is irdetailing.com. And when you reach out through there, just, you can book in a time, get on his schedule, let him know what you're thinking of doing, and he'll work with you on your budget and kind of what's going to make the most sense for the detailing that you're after, whether it's paint correction like I'm doing, paint protection film on some or all the car, ceramic coating, etc. And when you do reach out, just mention that you are a Ride the Lightning listener, and any work that you have done will have the Ride the Lightning listener discount applied. So again, check him out, irdetailing.com. He's also on Instagram at immaculate_reflections. I mentioned the Patreon a little earlier, but I'll mention it one more time here. I would be humbled and grateful if you would take a look at my Patreon page at some point in the not too distant future and consider a pledge. If you enjoy this podcast week in and week out, you get a lot out of it. The way that you can best say thank you is by backing me on Patreon. Those support tiers, again, start at just $5 a month. And for that $5 a month, you'll get early access to each week's show. And even if you don't care about that because you just listen to it when you listen to it, you'll get an ad-free episode through Patreon each week. So there's that. And then if you step up to that $10 tier, you get the ad-free, the early access, and you get those weekly lightning round bonus mini episodes that I do exclusively on Patreon, including the entire stash, the entire vault of 125 of them that I've already made. So check it out, patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. Follow this podcast on any of your favorite podcast services, whether it's Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, or YouTube Podcasts. Just search Ride the Lightning Tesla Podcast. You should find me very quickly that way, and then click the follow button. That way, every time there's a new episode, you will receive a push notification to remind you to go listen to it at your convenience. So that is a nice, easy, free thing that you can do on any of the big podcast services. I guess real quick, I'll mention the referral program. I mean, the Q4 stuff is over. We'll see how or if anything changes with the referral program in 2025 and specifically in Q1. But for the time being, as far as I know, unless Tesla changes it on January 1st, which could happen, but they are still offering $1,000 off of a 3 or a Y, or $2,000 off of S, X, or Cybertruck if you order with a referral link. Now, my referral link, if you'd like to use mine, just make sure you use somebody's if you're going to order a new Tesla. So to use mine, type in ts.la/Ryan73014 in any web browser, mobile or desktop. That'll take you to a landing page on the Tesla website. You can click which vehicle that you want, configure it how you want, and then submit that order, and you'll see at the top of the screen it'll say referral applied. And that's how you'll know that discount has been baked in to your order. You can follow me on X and or on Instagram. I have the same username on both. That username is DMC_Ryan. It's mostly video game stuff on X, and it's basically all Tesla stuff on Instagram. So if you're just considering one or the other to follow me on, the Tesla stuff is all on Instagram, with the occasional Tesla thing on X. As always, I end the podcast by saying hello and a big thank you to the top tier Patreon backers, those at the Maximum Plaid tier, the Roadster in Space tier, the highest tier, and then also the grandfathered in plaid level folks as well. I'm going to start with the Maximum Plaid tier this week because there is a new Maximum Plaid backer. So big hello and thank you to Brian Bertoglio. Brian, thank you so much. I hope to see you at the next Patreon monthly Zoom hangout, which everybody at the Maximum Plaid tier or higher is invited to every single month. The next one will be next Saturday. In fact, I need to get the invites out for that pretty soon. That's going to be on January 4th. I typically aim for the first Saturday of the month. So, Brian, welcome. Thank you so much for your kind and generous support. And I want to say a big thank you and hello to the rest of the Maximum Plaid backers: Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Brett Libano, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Richard Corley, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Adam Christie, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Clayton Goodfellow, Michael Mizrahi, and Kenneth Corbett. Next up, the Roadster in Space tier crew. Hello and thank you, Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Kara Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, GetAmber.com, Doug Carey, Rav, and Michael Gallo. And last but certainly not least, the grandfathered in plaid level supporters, George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And with that, the final Ride the Lightning of 2024 is in the books. The first episode of 2025 will be coming your way in 1 week's time. As I've said before, 2025 should be a fun and exciting year for Tesla. We're probably going to get 2 new cars in the form of the Model 2.5 line, what I believe will be a compact sedan and a compact crossover SUV. So 2 new, probably 2, but definitely a new more affordable vehicle. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot to cover, which is one reason I love doing this podcast every week, is because there's always something new and fun to talk about. So a happy new year to all of you. I hope you've all had a great holiday season. Super happy new year. Happy electric motoring. And I'll see you back here for what is going to be calendar year 11, I think, for Ride the Lightning. Even though I haven't hit my 10th anniversary yet. That won't happen till August. But yeah, I started in 2015. So yes, the 11th calendar year. Wow. Love it. And episode 500 is not too far away as well. So a little milestone for me coming up. Anyway, Happy New Year again. Happy electric motoring again. And I'll see you in 2025 next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.